I am back from vacation. I originally intended to do reviews while I was on vacation, but I legitimately didn't get 1 second to myself. I didn't watch a single film while I was out there. I didn't do anything. I had a great time. I took my kids to Disneyland. I got this freaking amazing Solo, a Star Wars story t-shirt. I love this freaking thing. I was freaking out when I found it. We had the best days. Oh, my girls had a blast. It was a fantastic vacation. But I missed Monster Monday, which really bummed me out. I had a movie lined up. I was trying to watch it. Literally just, I could not get a second to myself. And I know I don't owe anything to anybody, but I still really wanted to do Monster Monday if I couldn't do anything else. And I couldn't get it done. I couldn't find a place to film for any reason. I couldn't fucking watch the movie. I kept trying to throw it in. Yap, yap, yap. Moving on. Let's get into our films. Let's get back to it, okay? Now, we are going to move on to Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror. I just watched both, and I'm really excited to talk about both of them. Obviously, these will be spoiler discussions, and I'm just going to do Tales from the Crypt in this one, as you can see in the title of the film, or the video as itself. So, yeah, let's get into it. Now, technically, this is a comic book film. This is based on the same comic book series as the popular television show. For anyone who hasn't seen this for some reason, and you know, when I was a kid, I didn't know that these were based on the same things. I picked it up and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, and I didn't even know there was a comic book series back in the day. You know, as a kid, it was before the internet, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, you know, this movie has the same title." And yeah, no, later you find out all these things. Another interesting thing about this is, as far as holiday themed horror movies, I know a lot of people, you know, on Valentine's Day they go after My Bloody Valentine, or during Christmas they go for Black Christmas or Silent Night Deadly Night or freaking Christmas Evil, or the list goes on and on and on. And outside of the movie Holidays, which is actually every single segment in the thing, they're all holiday themed. This one has multiple, you know, a couple different segments that are based or set on holidays. We have Christmas and Valentine's Day in here, so you could watch this movie on a couple different holidays, which is cool. As far as the wraparound goes, the wraparound's super uneventful. A couple people get lost during a tour in a crypt. A crypt keeper comes out and it looks nothing like the crypt keeper. It's just an old man in a cloak. Not a bad thing. I mean, it's a different take on it and it's cool. But it's really uneventful. I mean, there's only one thing that I really want to talk about with the wraparound at all, and it's at the end. So for now, let's get into our segments. Obviously, spoilers from here on. So the first segment was redone later in the television series. I can't remember. I'm going to watch all 7 seasons again, and I'm going to do them all on here. I want to do every episode on here. I'm just going to kind of randomly. I keep saying I'm going to do that, and I will eventually. But this one was redone. This was like the second episode of the first season. I remember this one well. If any of the other ones that are in this were redone in the show, I don't remember them, but it's possible they were. So if they were, please let me know in the comments, because I can't remember if any of these other ones are, but this one is very obvious. This was one of the first episodes of the TV show that they redid. Yeah, so the wife kills the husband on Christmas, and there's a lunatic dressed up like Santa Claus out stalking houses. Now, after she kills her husband, this is clearly way before forensics are what they are now. You know, you spill blood on anything, it doesn't matter how well you clean it up. They just use luminol and boom, they can see it. So that's way before that. The fucking blood in this is so fake. I keep saying that, but man, it's so bad. It's clearly paint. But I like how she like scoops it up in a cup and then like throws him down the stairs and is like dousing it around his body to stage the blood as he fell. As I said, in nowadays forensics, no fucking way. You'd be caught in a half a second. But 1972, when this came out, I don't know. I mean, she went to some good lengths there. But the fact that she hears that there's this maniac Santa Claus guy out on the loose, and when she's at the window, like, he puts his arms through and she screams and freaks out and locks all the doors and closes the shutters and whatever. She has the kids sleeping upstairs. which you would think she would immediately go to try to like get her kid, get on the phone, whatever. But she then goes to try to stage the guy's body, and she's more concerned with that. She like goes down, she's putting the blood, than she is the killer outside. Like, she's completely calm. Now, she just murdered her husband, so I can't say that she's completely sane, obviously, but she just doesn't seem all that worried about it. It's bizarre. So yeah, that was odd to me. It was a very odd choice. I'm really curious to go back and watch the episode now on Tales from the Crypt, the TV series one, because I don't think it's like that. I think once the Santa Claus starts attacking, she's freaked out and what the hell, and trying to protect herself the whole time. But in this one, it's almost like it didn't happen and she's completely forgotten about it 2 seconds later. So I just found that to be very odd. And then the kid lets him in, and he comes at her and he gives her like a nice back massage. I'm guessing that was supposed to be her choking her, but he's just grabbing her by the shoulders, and she's like, no, and his just hands are like this. I don't know if that was supposed to be creepy or if we were supposed to think that was a choking. I don't know. I can't figure that one out. But it actually made me laugh out loud. And moving on to the second one. It's fairly uneventful. It's just, a man leaves his wife and his kid for a mistress. Right there. I mean, you're a fucking dick, and I hope you die. Leaving your kid behind for a chick. Like, I get you're not happy with your wife anymore. You meet a new chick, you fall in love. That's cool. You leave your kid, you're a piece of shit. Okay? I'm telling you to your face, you're a piece of shit. Don't leave your kid. Anyway, yeah, and he gets in a car crash, and then he sees this vision of, I don't know, it's been 2 years since the car crash, and he's dead, and he came back from the dead, and then he wakes up from the nightmare, and he crashes the car, and what? It recycles and repeats, but then at the end of the movie, he's just dead? See, there's things like that where I have to believe the majority of these weren't written for the idea of a wraparound. Like, I believe that the short stories were written and then they just connected the characters in the wraparounds to them without any thought of how they would actually affect the later on, the ending. So I just, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he was in a dream, but then he woke up and he died, and then he's there. So the dream has no significance at all. He just got in a car crash? Because that's what you would take from it. If he just died in a car crash and it was a dream, then he left his wife and his kid, and his mistress and him were in a car, and he wrecked the car. But he wrecked it in the exact same manner as he did in the dream. So is that to suggest that he is then there going to repeat the events of his dream? And if he is, then why is he in the crypt? Does he circle them so many times that he eventually then moves on to hell? Isn't that hell itself? Because at the end of this, they all have to jump into the pit of fire. So, as I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's kind of a super uneventful segment, to be completely honest. But still kind of cool. I liked the POV cam. You knew something was obviously up with him. Everyone kept screaming, running away, but you didn't know what. And I don't know. It's probably the weakest segment in it. As I said, it also raises way too many questions. The next one, oh man, the next segment, the third segment, it crushed me. It made me hate. I wanted this motherfucker dead. Now, Peter Cushing is usually a villain, or a villainous character, or somebody who is, I don't know, he always seems, it's hard to explain, but Peter Cushing is not a character that I genuinely like as a person. Like, I love the actor, I love the man, I love characters that he plays because he plays them so well, and he gives them such an elegance and such an intelligence. But in this character that he plays in this movie, he is like the most sympathetic, sweet old man. You don't really ever see this side of Peter Cushing all that much. in films. I don't know. I've seen a lot of Peter Cushing films in my life, and he's either playing like a villain, like Tarkin, or even if he is a good guy, he seems to, I don't know, be able to defend himself. And as I said, he's so intelligent and he's so wise and he's so above it that it doesn't feel as bad when he dies or gets taken advantage of or whatever. But this character is so sweet and so frail and so vulnerable that it just crushed me that this dickhead neighbor that didn't want the eyesore of this poor man on his block, who didn't exactly keep up. Because I live in an area where they have these like Nazi-esque rules for my HOA, and it's just like, fuck off. Like, I didn't have my lights down in time. Like, after Christmas passed, I still had my Christmas lights up for like a couple days after. And like, I had someone come knock at my door. Like, I'm getting multiple complaints that you haven't taken down your lights yet. Like, I need you to take them down. The guy was really cool about it. He was like, this is so stupid. I hate to even ask you, but I'm getting multiple complaints. And it kind of just reminds me of this, obviously way to the nth degree. And I'm not like him. But, oh my God, the amount of shit he puts him through. First, he gets his dogs taken away, probably to the pound, to be murdered. After those are his everything. Gets him fired from his job. So he has no fucking retirement plan. And knows that he's not going to get a retirement after this guy's worked his whole life for it. Then makes all the neighbors hate him. And like, the only joy he gets out of life is making toys that he finds and fixes up for the kids. And the kids aren't allowed to see him anymore. And the kids are all bummed about it because they love him, but they're not allowed to talk to him anymore. And then he sends them all these like Valentine's Day cards, and it's like his last bit of hope. And his wife has been dead for years, and it's like, you know, he had nothing left, and he gets these nice, and he reads them, and the way he reads them, the emotion, the fucking like, the moments where he's like, his lip is quivering, and he can barely finish it. And like, he reads the first one, he thinks it's so sweet, and then he gets to the end, he has to reread it like 3 times. He's like, I don't think I like that one very much. And then he reads the next one. It's like, you stink and get out of our town and all. It's fucking traumatizing. This segment is evil. It really is. And then he comes in and the guy's fucking hanging. Like, he hung himself, man. And then Peter Cushing comes back from the grave and fucking kills this guy. And it's wonderful. Fuck you. I hope you burn in hell. Jesus Christ. Ugh, that one really got to me. And there's another one in this too that's fucked up as well. So this one really plays off of, you know, your sympathies and makes you want characters to die. Like, fucking die viciously. Ugh. Now, on the flip side of that though, and this is something I'm going to get into at the very end, but let's talk about the 4th segment, because the 4th segment I feel exactly the opposite about. The 4th segment, I feel sympathetic towards the main girl who's the segment is about. Because the segment is about all the people who have died, obviously. And at the end of it, they're all going to hell. And in this one, she didn't do anything wrong. Not really. She found this thing that was like a monkey's paw. It's like Aladdin's fucking lamp. And she makes some bad wishes. Nothing that are like crazy out of the ordinary. Her first wish is money. That's like 98% of people's first wish. If you were to ask them right now, like, what's your wish? What would you wish for? A majority of people would be like, well, money. Whether it's for good or bad. Like, I want money so that I could, you know, house a bunch of homeless people or save hungry children or build a fucking wildlife reserve, or you can use money for anything. So for her asking for money, a ton of money, that doesn't make her inherently evil. That's not like, oh, it's one of the 7 deadly sins. It's greed. All she wants is money. You don't know why she wanted that money. So she wishes for fucking money. Her husband gets killed because of it. And what does she do? She doesn't rejoice that that her husband is died, and now she has a ton of money. Because if she was evil, like maybe the film is suggesting, because she deserves to go to hell, which is the ending we get, because that guy jumps into the pit of fire. In this, when her husband dies and she finds out she has this huge, you know, whatever you want to call it, a settlement that she's going to get from his death because he had like a double life insurance policy on accidents, she would have been like, all right, yeah, I got the money, fuck him. But she didn't. She was genuinely distraught and destroyed by the news of her husband's passing, so much to the point where her fucking second wish is to bring him back. Finding out that he had had a heart attack, she wishes for him to come back in the exact state he was right before the accident. He had a heart attack before he crashed, so it brings him back dead, but preserved, not mangled like he was before. And then her third wish is so he can live now forever. That was just stupid. And as I said, this is just dumb wishing, but that doesn't make her a bad person. But when she wishes him back, he has formaldehyde in his veins and he's burning, and it's, you know, but she didn't do that on purpose. She wished for her husband to be alive again. Whether it was the money was all going to go away, she didn't really care either way. Like, the money went away, or she got her husband back and they got to keep the money. It didn't matter to her as long as she got her husband back. So her wishes had no ill intent behind them. But she still suffers the same fate as somebody who did something like that to Peter Cushing's character. Fuck that. If that's what they're getting out, fuck that. Now, it is to be argued that we don't know what happens when each one of them walk through that door. Maybe she went up to heaven. Like, hey man, you did. I'm not saying heaven and hell exist. I'm not saying any of that shit. But within the realm of this show, in this reality that they have set up, I'm sitting there like, huh, what? And then that moves me on to the fifth segment, which is another guy that should fucking burn in hell. For eternity? No. I don't think anyone should burn in hell for eternity. I don't think these people who are into this whole damnation and burning in hell for eternity understand the concept of eternity, and that no matter what you do in your entire fucking life, I'm sorry, you don't deserve to burn forever and ever and ever and ever and ever for trillions of years. That's stupid. There's nothing you can do in 50, 70, 80 years of life that you deserve all eternity. But you should definitely have some, for sure. And this is one of them. You know, put them in there for a fucking 100 years or something. Even that seems a little intense. But fuck it. Let's move on to the fifth segment. What a piece of shit. This guy comes into a home for the blind and cuts corners on everything, the heat, their food, while he's sitting in his ivory tower eating his steak dinners and reading the paper and just having a blast up there. Reading the paper doesn't sound all that funny, but he looked like he was having a good time. Oh man. And then one of their fucking compadres, their compatriots, whatever you want to call them, one of their, you know, people, is their other person, blind guy, whatever, dies, freezes to death. I should have stopped at compatriots. It was enough. There was two, Jason. Come on, you always want more. I'm greedy. There's me. There's my fucking 7 deadly sin. But yeah, he freezes to death. So what do? They go and they lure his dog out with a little bit of pieces of their ham that they got from their already hamless soup. And they go down and they get him somehow. They strong arm him and they put him down in the little room and they build this dark room and the razor blade wall and get the dog all hungry, and they open it up, and right as he gets through the razor door, they fucking open the door, the dog comes out, slide the shit closed so he can't see. Poetic justice. I mean, awesome stuff. That scene's fantastic. The Peter Cushing one and this one, you just want these guys to die. You want horrible things to happen to them. They both did awful, awful things. And my God, it was satisfying. The razor thing is a little bit more satisfying just because they got to do it in life. Peter Cushing's character came back from the dead. I don't know if he had consciousness, if he did it for sure. If it was just his, I don't know. So It wasn't just as satisfying as seeing the main blind guy like, yeah, fuck you, you know, closing that stuff on him. Good stuff. But anyway, guys, all right, let's move on to Vault of Horror.